Welcome back to Our Issues Milwaukee. If you're just joining us, I'm your host, Andrea Williams. My guest has been Milwaukee Common Council President Alderman Ashanti Hamilton. We've discussed Milwaukee Mayor Tom Barrett's city budget proposal for 2020 and how what's being proposed could affect you and your pocketbook. In February of 2020, there's a primary that will include the race for mayor and then the general election in April of 2020. We're thankful to have President Hamilton rejoin us to help sort out some of the things and give us his thoughts on this upcoming race for mayor. So I had you hit the pause button before we went to break, but you were leaning towards running for mayor, and so far we have Alderman Tony Zielinski, who's going to be running, and then State Senator Lena Taylor has also announced her plans to run for mayor of Milwaukee. So what, if you would, share with us, changed your mind?
Running a citywide campaign is a costly endeavor, right? And you have to hire people, and you have to touch different areas of the city that you may not have have relationships in. It's a daunting task, and one of the commitments that I made when I came into office was to serve the city, right? I wanted to put us in a better position than we were in at the time that I got into politics. And it wasn't necessarily about attaining a position, right, or getting a title. And I think that's part of the frustration with a lot of people in the city, is that people oftentimes make it about them, right? And I have all the answers, and I'm going to solve the, and I'll be honest with you, it was very difficult for me to get into that mind frame. There are some an understanding about city government that I think I have. I think there's a perspective and a special talent that I have in being able to bring people together around special issues. And I have been able to be successful as an elected official around the idea that we'll be able to accomplish more if people were not so concerned about who got credit for it, right? And at the end of the day, after I went through my exploratory, kind of time period, I went across the city, stakeholders, across the entire city, and there was a reluctance, right, to fund a campaign. And I think one of the problems that you would have with people jumping into the race without resources to sustain a race is you do not, you put people's hopes and dreams into an idea, and there's not enough gas in the car to get you to the destination.
I gotcha. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I felt like the work that I was doing right now was in many ways, just in many very real ways,
Just as effective.
Just as effective.
Yeah, yeah.
Just as effective as taking on that larger responsibility. And so what I'm going to try to do is, and let me make no mistake about it, Andrea, it's much easier being the executive of the city, because one of the biggest complaints that we got as we were traveling around talking to people, it's not we don't have a lack of really good ideas, right? There's a lack of execution, right? Can we carry out these ideas? Can we make some of these things happen that mean the most to some of our most vulnerable neighborhoods? And in many cases, the marketplace and people's own ingenuity and their willingness to participate in the system fixes it for some communities. But there has to be a certain level of participation and sense of powerfulness, empoweredness that you have in order to do that. And a lot of the issues that we're facing in our community, we're dealing with the lack of hope, of being disenfranchised, having a lack of power. And how do you reinvigorate that to give people the belief that the system can work for them?
Yeah.
And that's what I think is missing in in government in general, but in particular, this upcoming race. And I think I'm in the perfect position to make sure that those things stay front and center in all of the people who say they want to be the mayor of this city.
Okay, and so with that said, you will be running for re-election as alderman of the 1st District, and you would like to retain your position as president. So those are going to be something else that you have to focus on, obviously.
Absolutely.
But just if you would talk about keeping this position as president of the Common Council, because I believe there are at least 4 alders who have made it clear that they would like to be in that position. So it's got to be interesting, to say the least, to know that there are people you work with every day who would like to be in that position. How does that work on deciding who will take on that position?
Yeah, so that decision doesn't happen until after the next election.
Okay.
Right? So it's the new council that makes that decision. People really do get ahead of themselves, right? As that process works out. And part of what created this early kind of jockeying for position, if we want to call it that, was probably the attention that my interest in running for mayor got on such early on.
So it makes someone think, well, if he's going to leave, then I would like to do that. Understandable. Wanted to bring up something that I noticed, and I'm thinking others in our city have to have thought the same thing. We know the DNC is going to come here next summer, and it's very important for many reasons to present the city in the most positive way. So I was taking the Amtrak to Chicago, and I'm looking at what's been called Tent City, and I'm thinking this can't be what we want to present, even though homelessness is a problem across the country. But what do we do in order to help change this situation, not just for when all these people from all over the world come here, but really to help put people in a position where they don't have to be in a tent in the city of Milwaukee?
Yeah, you bring up a very, you phrase that in an interesting way. Because one of the, after we've had the celebration about the DNC announcement, right? After the balloons were lit up and all of the confetti came down, we started to have to deal with some hard truths about our city, right? And the difficulty of living and existing in this city, and the challenges that some people have, and the barriers that are put in place. And so I think one of the most important things for us to do as we are preparing to put the city in the best light is for us to start to believe the false narrative, right? That's there. This is a wonderful city, but it has many challenges. And if we're going to get this thing right, then let's be honest about what was going wrong as to why we have to clean up so much before company comes. Right?
Yeah.
So, but you can't do that if you're not honest. If you're not honest about how unfair we have been, right, to certain segments of the community, if we are not fair about the lack of resources that have been put into certain areas so that happens. So now that there's movement right now in the city of Milwaukee to build small houses, many homes on different lots in the city of Milwaukee that will provide like real housing for many of the people that's in the tent. We would probably be able to build as many homes as there are homeless people that's living in that area way before the DNC comes. But we have to do things that will sustain that and then put people on the proper footing so that that's not normal
Right.
in this city.
Yes, thank you so much for just coming by and sharing all of that. I did want to mention there's a joint public hearing on the budget on Monday, October 7th at 6:15 in the Common Council chamber. Residents are invited to share their views on the city's finances and that proposal.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming
Yeah,
by.
thank you for having
We
me.
got to have you back. There's so much more to talk about. Common Council President Ashanti Hamilton serves as the alderman for Milwaukee's 1st District. And if you want more information about anything we've discussed, you can always visit milwaukee.gov or give your alderperson a call at 414-286-CITY. That's going to do it for today's show. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. As always, thank you for watching. And I hope you join us again next week as we take another look at our issues, Milwaukee. Have a great day.